Upon a time, there was a young man named Obinna. He was the kind of man everybody liked because he was calm, gentle, respectful, and always smiling. Obinna liked to plan his life slowly and quietly. He did not try to impress people or chase fame. He just wanted a simple life, a happy home, and a woman who truly loved him. So when he met Nena months ago, he believed his dream had finally come true. She was quiet, soft-spoken, beautiful, and she had this calm way of looking at him as if she understood him more than anyone else. That alone made him fall for her completely. Today was their wedding day, and Obinna felt like the happiest man alive. The hall was decorated with white and gold colors. Flowers stood on both sides of the walkway, and the lights above sparkled like tiny stars. People were laughing, taking pictures, dancing, and eating. The air smelled of rice, chicken, perfume, and cake. The whole place felt bright and alive. Obinna stood at the front of the hall with his best man beside him. His heart beat fast, not from fear but from excitement. He whispered to himself, "This is the day. My life is starting today." The music changed. Everyone turned to look at the entrance. The doors opened slowly. Nena walked in. She looked so beautiful that the whole hall became quiet for a moment. Her white gown hugged her small frame gently, and her veil fell over her face like soft clouds. She walked as if she was floating, her steps slow and calm, like she was following a sound only she could hear. Obinna smiled so widely that his cheeks hurt. "She is perfect," he whispered. But even as everyone admired her, people also whispered small comments. One woman leaned toward her friend and said, "This girl is too quiet. I do not understand her." Another man said, "Something about her spirit is strong, like she is older than she looks." Someone else muttered, "Her family is strange. They do not talk much. I hope all is well." Obinna did not hear any of these words. He only saw his bride walking toward him, and nothing else mattered. But if he had turned a little, he would have noticed the way Nena's parents kept staring at her with worried eyes. Her mother held her hands tightly in front of her chest, and her father could not stop shifting his weight from one foot to another. They looked like people hiding a heavy secret. But Obinna was too happy to notice anything strange. Nena finally reached him. She lifted her face a little, and he saw her eyes through the veil. She was smiling, but under that smile, there was something else, something he could not understand. It looked like fear, or sadness, or maybe a secret she wanted to hide. "Are you all right?" Obinna whispered softly. Nena nodded. "Yes, I am fine," she said, but her voice shook just a little. He did not push. He did not want anything to spoil the moment. The priest began to speak. "We are gathered here today to join Obinna and Nena in holy matrimony." As the priest continued, a sudden cold breeze moved through the hall. It was strange because the doors were closed and the air conditioners were not blowing that strong. The breeze passed right through Obinna, and he shivered. He looked around, confused. "Did you feel that?" he asked Nena. She looked away. "Feel what?" "The cold breeze," he said. She shook her head. "I did not feel anything." Obinna frowned a little, but before he could think more about it, the priest asked them to hold hands. Their fingers touched gently, and Nena's hands felt colder than ice. "Your hand is cold," Obinna whispered. Nena forced a smile. "It is nothing. I am just nervous." He squeezed her hand softly to comfort her. "It is all right. We are together." The ceremony continued. They exchanged vows, they put rings on each other's fingers, and the hall filled with claps and cheers when the priest said, "You may kiss the bride." Obinna lifted her veil slowly. He expected her to blush, maybe to look shy, but Nena's eyes looked deep and distant, almost like she was thinking of something far away. Still, she leaned forward, and their lips touched gently. The hall exploded with cheers. "Congratulations! God bless your marriage. Oh, they look so sweet." Obinna smiled and held her hand tightly, feeling proud. He led her to their table, and guests lined up to greet them, take pictures, and give gifts. Everything looked perfect from the outside, but Nena stayed quiet through most of it. She gave small smiles because she had to, but her eyes never truly brightened. She held her hands together on her lap the whole time, almost as if she was scared of touching anyone. At one point, Obinna leaned close and whispered, "You are very quiet today. Are you sure you are fine?" She looked at him with those deep brown eyes, and for a moment, her lips parted like she wanted to say something honest. But then she looked away. "I am fine," she said again. But the way she said it made Obinna stop talking. It felt like she was pushing something heavy down inside her heart. Hours passed. People danced. Others ate. Children ran around with balloons. Music filled every corner of the hall. It was a joyful day. When it was finally time to go home, Obinna and Nena stood up to leave. As they walked out of the hall, Obinna noticed her parents again. They hugged her tightly, too tightly, almost like they were afraid they would never see her again. Her mother whispered something into her ear. Nena nodded slowly, her face turning pale. Obinna watched them, confused. What did she say? Nena shook her head. Nothing important. They entered the car and drove home. The night was quiet, and the road was empty. Obinna talked about how happy he was, how he could not wait for their life to begin, how he would do everything to make her smile every day. She listened but hardly responded. When they reached the house, Obinna carried her bag inside and helped her into the room. The moment they stepped inside, the air changed. The room felt strangely cold, like someone had opened a freezer. Obinna rubbed his hands together. Wow, this room is freezing. Maybe the air conditioner is leaking. He walked around, trying to find the source. But the air conditioner was off. Maybe it is just new house feeling, he joked, trying to lighten the mood. Nena gave him a weak smile. Everything felt perfect but also somehow strange. It was almost like the air in the room was watching them. Obinna did not understand it, and he did not try to think too much. He was excited. Tonight was their first night as husband and wife. He believed nothing bad could happen. He turned to her slowly, smiling. "Are you ready?" Nena looked at him, her hands shaking slightly. She took a slow breath and whispered, "Obinna, please, be patient with me tonight." He stepped closer. "Of course, we have all the time in the world." She nodded again, but her eyes did not show peace. They showed fear. Still, Obinna trusted her. He trusted everything he saw. He had no idea that tonight would be the beginning of a truth he was never prepared to face. He had no idea that the woman he married was not a woman at all. And the cold air in the room was the first sign. The room was still cold. Not normal cold. Not weather cold. It was the kind of cold that made Obinna's skin rise and his heart beat faster, as if something invisible was standing close to him. He rubbed his hands again, trying to shake the chill away, but it didn't help. Nena stood by the bed, her hands pressed together, her eyes on the floor. She looked like someone waiting for something painful. She didn't move, she didn't smile, she didn't even breathe loudly. She just stood there with her veil already removed and her wedding gown softly touching the floor. "Nena," Obinna said gently as he walked toward her. "Why are you standing like this? Come and sit down. You are making me worried." She didn't move. He took one more step. "Talk to me." She finally lifted her head. Her eyes looked darker than before, like a storm was inside them. "Obinna," she whispered, "please listen to me very carefully." His smile faded a little. "Okay, I am listening." "Tonight, things may not be normal," she said slowly. "What do you mean?" Obinna asked. He laughed a little to break the tension. "Normal how? It is just our first night." "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "You do not understand." Obinna moved closer and touched her hand to calm her down. Her hand was ice cold. He pulled his hand back immediately. "Your hand is cold again. Maybe you need to rest. You look tired." Nena stared at him like she wanted to say the truth but didn't know how to start. She opened her mouth, then closed it again, then looked away. "I need to tell you something," she said. "Tell me," Obinna said softly. "You can tell me anything." She shook her head again. "If I tell you, you may run away." "Run away from you?" he asked. "How can I run away from my own wife?" "You do not know who I really am," she said quietly. Obinna blinked, confused. "Nena, what are you saying? You are my wife. I know you." "No," she said again. "You think you know me, but you do not." Obinna stepped closer, trying to hold her shoulders. "You are scaring me. Just talk." Before he could touch her, the room changed. The light flickered. The bulb above them blinked once, twice, 3 times. Then the whole room became dim, almost like the walls absorbed the light. Obinna froze. "What is happening?" Nena took a step back. "It is starting." "What is starting?" he shouted. "Tell me what is going on." The air became heavier, like someone had filled the room with water that couldn't be seen. Obinna tried to breathe, and it felt thick. He stepped back, looking around in fear. "Nena," he shouted. "Say something." Then he heard it. A drip. Then another one. Drip, drip, drip. Water was falling from somewhere, but when he looked up, the ceiling was dry. When he looked at the walls, they were dry too. Yet the sound of dripping water filled the room like rain falling in slow motion. "What is this?" he whispered. "I am sorry," Nena said. "I didn't want you to see this." Obinna shook his head. "See what? What are you hiding?" Nena turned slowly toward him, her face pale, her lips shaking. "Obinna, I am not like other women." Before he could ask what she meant, it happened. Her legs began to shift. Obinna's eyes widened. He stepped back so fast he almost fell. "Nena, what is happening to your legs?" Her legs were pulling together, twisting, melting, joining. The sound was soft, like wet cloth being squeezed. Her gown moved strangely as if something long was growing under it. "Nena!" Obinna screamed. "Stop! Stop it!" She cried out, not in pain, but in sadness. "I am sorry. Please do not look at me." He couldn't look away. His whole body was shaking. His mouth dropped open, but no sound came out at first. "Oh God!" he finally whispered. "Oh God! What is that?" The gown lifted a little as her legs finished changing. Where her 2 human legs were supposed to be, there was now one thick, long, green tail. It shimmered like scales underwater. It moved slowly, with a soft hissing sound, strong enough to lift the gown slightly. Obinna screamed and stumbled backward until his back hit the wall. "No! No! No!" he shouted. "Nena, what are you?" She covered her face with her hands. "I knew this would happen. I knew you would be afraid." "Afraid?" he cried. "You are not even human." The tail curled gently around her feet area. Her wedding gown hung over it like fabric over a snake. Obinna pressed his back harder against the wall, sweating, shaking, breathing fast. He couldn't understand what he was seeing. He didn't want to believe it. "Nena, what are you?" he whispered again, voice trembling. She dropped her hands slowly. Her eyes flashed bright blue for a moment, and behind her head, a strange shape formed, a glowing, faint outline of a crown made of water. It rose and fell like waves. Obinna's knees almost gave way. "What is that behind your head? What is happening?" "I told you," she whispered, her voice echoing as if she was speaking inside a river. "I am not like other women." Obinna shook his head, still pressed to the wall. "Explain it. Explain it now. What is going on?" She took a step toward him. The tail moved softly on the floor, making a sliding sound. Obinna cried out again, moving along the wall to escape. "Obinna, please," she said. "I am the same person who loved you. I did not deceive you because I wanted to hurt you. I only wanted to be free." "Free from what?" Obinna shouted. She looked down, tears falling from her eyes. "From where I came from." Obinna's throat tightened. "Where do you come from?" She lifted her head slowly. "The water." "What water? What are you saying?" "The river," she said. "The kingdom under the river." Obinna stared at her, unable to breathe well. His hands shook so badly he had to press them to the wall to keep steady. "You are from—" he swallowed hard. "You are from the river?" She nodded, tears falling faster. "Yes." Obinna covered his mouth with his hand. His chest hurt from shock. "This is not real. This cannot be real. People like this don't exist." "I wish that was true," she said softly. "I wish I could be normal." She stepped closer again. Obinna raised his hand like a shield. "Stop. Do not come close to me." She froze. He stared at her tail again, still shaking. It glowed faintly, reflecting tiny blue lights on the floor like water ripples. "What are you?" he whispered. "I belong to a marine cult," she said quietly. "Umumiri, the daughters of the water." Obinna felt his heart drop. It felt like someone punched his stomach from inside. "You belong to what?" "The marine cult," she said again. "My life is tied to the water. I was never fully human." Obinna's head spun. He felt dizzy. So you married me for what? To take me to them? To kill me?" "No," she cried. "I did not want to hurt you." "Then why did you hide this? Why did you not tell me before today?" She wiped her tears. "Because I did not want to lose you." He laughed in shock. "Lose me? How? You are not even—" His voice broke. "You are not even—" "A woman," she whispered. He couldn't answer. The room grew colder. The dripping water sound grew louder. "Obinna," she said, "I need you to listen. I need you to understand before you judge me." Obinna shook his head. "I do not want to understand anything. I want you to change back. Change back now." Her eyes dimmed. "I cannot." "Why?" "Because this is my true form," she said. "The human form is the disguise." Obinna felt like the ground under him would open. His teeth chattered from fear. "So this is what you are?" "Yes." The tail shifted again. Obinna looked away, unable to keep watching. He slid down the wall, sitting on the floor, his hands pulling at his hair. "My God, what have I married?" Nena knelt a little distance from him. "Please do not be afraid. I am still Nena. The same person who laughed with you. The same person who sat with you. The same person you loved." "You lied," he said, voice breaking. "You lied to me." "I wanted a chance to live normally," she whispered. "Just one chance." "What do you mean?" he asked. "The Marine Kingdom controls my life," she said. "They decide everything I do. They sent me here." "They?" She looked away, unable to finish the sentence. "They what?" Obinna asked with trembling voice. Her lips shook. "They sent me to marry you." Silence swallowed the room. Obinna's heart felt like it stopped for one full second. He stared at her, eyes wide, breath stuck in his throat. "For what purpose?" he whispered. Nena closed her eyes. "I will tell you," she said, "but you must stay calm." Obinna tried to stand, but he was too weak. He leaned back on the wall again. "Tell me now." Nena looked at him, her eyes glowing with sadness and fear. "The truth," she whispered, "begins tonight." The room was still dim, still cold, still filled with the strange dripping sound that echoed like water falling in a deep cave. Obinna sat on the floor, shaking. Nena knelt a little distance away, the long green tail curled beside her, shining softly like wet leaves under moonlight. Her eyes stayed on him, full of fear, sadness, and something like shame. Obinna could not speak at first. His breath came in short, tight bursts. His mind felt heavy, confused, and scared. He kept staring at the tail because his brain couldn't accept that it was real. "We need to talk," Nena whispered softly. "Please." He looked at her slowly, his lips trembling. "Talk? You want to talk? After this? After everything I just saw?" "I know you are scared," she said. "But if you listen, maybe you will understand." "Understand what?" Obinna cried. "That my wife is not human? That I married someone from the river? That your legs are a tail? That the room is acting strange? That water is dripping from nowhere? You want me to understand all that? Nena lowered her head. I did not choose this life. Obinna stood shakily, holding the wall. Say it. Say everything now. If you do not talk, I swear I will run out of this room. You cannot run, she whispered. Why not? He snapped. Why can't I run? She pointed to the door. Because they have locked it. Obinna froze. Who is they? The Marine Kingdom, she said. The ones who sent me here. Obinna's throat tightened again. You keep saying that. Explain who they are. Nena took a small breath. Obinna, I belong to Yumumiri, the daughters of the water, the marine cult. He pressed his hand against his forehead. I do not understand. Explain it like I am a child. I will, she said softly. Just listen. Obinna swallowed hard. He slowly sat down on the edge of the bed, still very far from her. He did not want to be close to the tale. He did not trust anything in the room. Start talking, he said. Nena looked at him with eyes full of pain. When I was a little girl, she began, I was taken by the river. What does that mean? Taken? Obinna asked. I fell inside, she said. Nobody pulled me out. Nobody saved me. Instead, something pulled me deeper. I woke up in a place that looked like a palace made of water. Obinna frowned. This is not possible. It is real, she whispered. I lived there for years. A world under the river. A world where the water hears you when you talk. A world where the people do not walk with legs. Obinna's heart pounded. Those people, what are they? Marine beings, she said. Half woman, half water spirit. They look human at the top but not at the bottom. Obinna stared at her tail again. Like you? Yes, she whispered. Like me. Obinna could barely breathe. Nena continued in a soft voice. In the Marine Kingdom, everyone has a duty. A mission. They train you. They teach you. They tell you what you are meant to do when you come back to the human world. Obinna leaned forward a little, still scared but curious. What mission? Nena's eyes filled with tears again. To take destinies. Obinna froze. What? To take destinies, she repeated. That is what we do. That is what we are sent to the human world for. Obinna shook his head and stood up again. You cannot be serious. You cannot be saying this. You cannot be telling me that you... Yes, she said quietly. I was sent to marry you. For what reason? He shouted. Nena looked down, tears falling onto her gown. To take your destiny. Obinna's breath caught in his throat. It felt like something heavy hit his chest. My destiny? He whispered. She nodded slowly. Yes. Obinna stumbled back. His hands trembled as he pointed at her. So this whole marriage, this whole wedding, all of it was a lie? No, she said quickly. It was not a lie. Not everything was a lie. He laughed in disbelief. Then what was true? Tell me. I cared about you, she said. I did not expect to, but I did. I did not plan to love you. I did not plan to feel anything, but I did. Obinna's voice cracked. So you brought me here to destroy me? No, she cried. I changed the plan. I refused to follow the mission. I refused to harm you. Then what was the plan? Obinna asked. Say everything. Say it now. Nena wiped her tears. The Marine Kingdom targets men with strong destinies. Men who will rise, men who will become great, men who carry light. They take those destinies through marriage. Once the man sleeps with the Marine bride, his destiny becomes theirs. Obinna's stomach twisted like he might throw up. So our wedding night. Yes, she whispered. Tonight was the night I was supposed to finish the mission. And if we had slept together, he asked, voice shaking. You would lose everything, she said. Your future, your success, your rising. She lowered her eyes. You would start fading slowly. Nothing in your life would work again. Obinna felt like crying but couldn't. His whole body shook from fear and anger. This is madness. This is not real. This is some nightmare. It is real, she said. Everything I am telling you is true. He pressed his hands to his face. So I am in danger. Yes. And my destiny is in danger. Yes. He paced the room, the sound of the water drops following him everywhere. So they want me? Yes, she whispered. He turned to her again. Why me? Nena swallowed hard. Because your destiny is very bright. You are meant to rise and take an important position in the government. They want that destiny for themselves. They want your light to strengthen their kingdom. Obinna felt cold fear inside his bones. And you were going to help them do it. She shook her head quickly. I was supposed to, but I changed. I did not want to hurt you. Why me? He asked again. Why did you fall for me? I did not mean to, she said. You were kind. You were gentle. You looked at me like I was human. Nobody has ever looked at me like that. Obinna's heart squeezed, but he pushed the feeling away. So you loved me? Is that what you are saying? She nodded. I still do. Obinna stepped back. Do not say that. Do not say that when everything you have done is tied to destroying me. Nena wiped another tear. I asked them to free me. I begged them to let me reject this mission. And what did they say? He asked. They refused. Obinna felt a chill crawl up his spine. So what now? She looked at him with fear. If I refuse to finish the mission tonight, they will come. Come? Who will come? The Marine Sisters, she whispered. They watch me. They know everything I do. They know you now. They know your destiny. They know that you have not been touched yet. They are angry that I am delaying. Obinna felt his heartbeat in his ears. So they are watching us right now. Yes, she whispered. He turned toward the door again. We need to leave. We need to get out. It will not open, she said softly. Obinna rushed to the door anyway. He grabbed the handle and pulled. It didn't move. He pulled again, harder this time. It felt like the door was glued to the frame. He pushed, kicked, pulled, and hit the door with his shoulder. Nothing moved. He turned around, breathing hard. You are right. It is locked. She nodded. Buy them. Yes. He stepped away from the door slowly. So we are trapped here. Yes. Obinna walked slowly to the edge of the bed and sat down, covering his face with his hands. God help me. Nena dragged herself closer, her tail moving quietly. Obinna, I want to help you. I want to protect you. He looked up sharply. Protect me? How can you protect me when you were sent to destroy me? Because I have changed, she said. I did not know humans could make me feel anything. But you did. You made me feel safe. You made me feel like I had a chance to be free. Obinna stared at her for a long moment, breathing slowly. So what now? I want to break free from the Marine Kingdom, she said. But I cannot do it alone. What do you need? Your trust, she said. He laughed in disbelief. Nena, look at what you are. Look at this room. Look at everything happening. And you want trust. She looked down. I know I do not deserve it. But I also know you want to live. And they will come soon. If they come and I have not followed the mission, she swallowed hard. They will kill me. Obinna blinked. Kill you? And take you, she whispered. Obinna felt his whole body go stiff. Obinna, she whispered again. Whatever you decide, please do not let fear blind you. I need you to listen to me. I need you to hear everything. The truth is not finished. There is more I must tell you. Obinna stared at her. More. Nena nodded slowly, the tail gliding softly across the floor. Yes, she whispered. The worst part of the truth is still coming. The room felt heavier than before. The dripping sound grew louder, dropping faster, like water was falling straight into Obinna's ears. He sat on the edge of the bed, breathing hard. while Nena knelt a short distance away with her tail curled beside her. Her eyes stayed on him, sad and scared. "Obinna," she whispered, "I still have more to tell you." He rubbed his face with his hands. "I don't know how much more of this I can handle. My head feels like it wants to explode." "I know," she said softly, "but I need you to hear everything before they come." "Before who comes?" Obinna asked. "The Marine Sisters," she replied. He frowned. "You talked about them before. Who exactly are they?" "They are part of my world," Nena said. "They are like guardians. They make sure we complete our missions. They watch us. They follow us. They punish us if we fail." Obinna felt a cold fear run down his back. "So they have been watching you since we met?" "Yes." "And they know we are in this room right now?" "Yes." Obinna stood up again, pacing the room. "So they know you didn't follow the mission tonight?" "Yes," she whispered again. He pressed his hands against his hair. My God, this is too much." Nena slowly moved a little closer. "I begged them to free me. I told them I didn't want to take your destiny. I begged and begged." "And they refused," Obinna said. She nodded. The room grew colder. "Why is the air changing?" Obinna asked, rubbing his arms. "Why is it so cold again?" "Because they are coming," Nena whispered. He stopped pacing. "What?" "They are coming, Obinna. They know I have delayed too long." Obinna turned quickly toward the locked door. "Help me break it. Maybe we can run before they reach here." "You cannot run from them," she said sadly. "They do not walk. They appear." Obinna stared at her in fear. "Appear? How? From where?" "The water," she said. "What water? There is no water in this room." Nena lifted her hand and pointed toward a corner of the room. The shadows there thickened slowly, like someone poured black ink into the air. Obinna's heart jumped. "Nena, what is that?" She swallowed hard. "It has started." A soft sound filled the room. Not dripping this time. A wave. A wave, deep and soft, like the ocean pushing against a rock. "Obinna," Nena said shakily, "stay behind me. Do not move." He stepped back in fear. "No, no, no. What is happening? What is coming out of that place?" The shadow in the corner began to swirl, spinning like water pulling itself into shape. Then a hand appeared. A woman's hand. Blue. Dripping water. Obinna screamed and ran backward until he hit the wardrobe. "Nena! Nena! What is that?" "One of them," she whispered. The hand gripped the air and pulled again. A face slowly formed out of the swirling shadow. It was a woman's face, but not human. Her eyes glowed bright blue. Her hair floated around her head like she was underwater. Obinna's voice broke. "Nena, do something." "I cannot stop them," Nena cried. "They are too powerful." Another shadow swirled on the other side of the room. Another hand. Another glowing face. Then a third. 3 Marine Sisters stepped out of the shadows like water shaping itself into people. They had human faces, but their eyes glowed like blue fire. Their long hair flowed around them like it was moving inside an invisible river. Their arms were slim and bright, and water dripped from their fingers. The lower part of their bodies shimmered like moving waves. Obinna couldn't breathe. His knees felt weak. He sank slowly to the floor, too scared to move. The first sister looked at Nena with sharp anger. "Nena," she said, her voice echoing like she was speaking in a deep cave. "You have delayed the mission." "I know," Nena whispered, lowering her eyes. "You were sent for one purpose," the second sister said. Her voice sounded like water hitting rocks. "You were sent to take his destiny tonight." "I could not," Nena said softly. The third sister stepped forward and looked at Obinna. Her eyes shone brighter. "This is the man." Obinna pressed his back against the wardrobe. "Stay away from me," he whispered. "Please." "He is afraid," the sister said. "He has a strong destiny. We can smell it." The second sister nodded. His destiny shines like light. It will make the kingdom stronger. Obinna shook his head fast. Please, please no. Please leave me alone. The first sister looked at Nena again. Why have you not completed the mission? Nena closed her eyes. Because I fell in love with him. The sisters stared at her silently. The room became even quieter, as if the air stopped moving. You what? The first sister asked. I love him, Nena said slowly. The second sister hissed softly. Foolish girl. We do not love. We do not feel. We obey. I could not obey this time, Nena replied. I could not harm him. The third sister turned to Obinna. Stand up. He shook his head. No. Stand up, she repeated, her voice deeper this time. Obinna felt his body move on its own, slowly rising to his feet. His legs shook like they wanted to collapse. No, he whispered. Please don't make me come close. Please. The first sister stepped toward him. Do not fear. It will be painless. Painless? He whispered. What will be painless? When we take your destiny, she said calmly, you will feel nothing. Obinna's body froze. His heart pounded like it wanted to break out of his chest. No, 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 please. I do not want to die. You will not die, the second sister said. Your life will continue, but empty. You will be like a shell. Tears filled Obinna's eyes. Nena, please help me. Nena quickly moved in front of Obinna. No, you will not touch him. The sisters' faces hardened. You protect him? The first sister asked. Yes, Nena said firmly. I will protect him. You dare? The second sister said. I dare, Nena replied. The third sister stepped forward. You know the punishment for rebellion. I know, Nena whispered. And you still choose to protect him. Yes. The sisters looked at each other. A swirling sound filled the room as their bodies brightened with strange blue light. Then the first sister spoke again. Nena, you have 1 hour. Only one. 1 hour for what? Nena asked. 1 hour to complete the mission, the sister said. If you do not take his destiny in that time. She paused. The second sister finished the sentence. We will take him ourselves. And we will take you too. Obinna's heart stopped for a moment. Take me where? He asked in a shaky voice. To the kingdom, the sister said. Where your destiny will feed the throne. And me? Nena asked softly. You will be punished, the first sister said. You will be dragged back and broken. Nena's hands shook. Tears gathered in her eyes again. Please, please don't do this. You have disobeyed, the second sister said. The price for that is death. Obinna gasped. Nena. But Nena looked only at the sisters. I will not hurt him, even if it costs my life. The sisters' eyes glowed brighter. The room started shaking. Not violently, but like something powerful was breathing inside the walls. Then the first sister pointed at Obinna. Look at what he can become. A blue light flashed. The room changed. Obinna suddenly saw a vision floating in front of him. Himself in a suit, standing at a podium, speaking to a large crowd. Cameras flashed around him. People cheered. Newspapers floated around with his name in bold letters. You will rise, the sister said. You will become a leader. Another vision flashed, Obinna signing papers, shaking hands, entering important meetings. This is your destiny, she whispered. This is what we want. Another flash, Obinna older, respected, powerful, with people listening to him. We will take all of this, the third sister said, her voice deep and hungry. The vision vanished. Obinna fell to his knees. Please, please don't take my life. It is not your life we want, the sister replied. It is your destiny. She turned to Nena again. 1 hour. If you do not complete your mission, we will return. The sisters began to fade slowly, their bodies dissolving like water turning into mist. Their glowing eyes dimmed as they disappeared back into the dark corners of the room. The last thing they said before vanishing was, "Choose wisely, Nena." And then, silence. Cold air filled the room again. Obinna slowly turned to Nena, eyes full of fear. "What do we do now?" he whispered. Nena looked back at him with shaking hands and a trembling voice. "I do not know," she said softly, "but the hour has started." The room was too quiet. It was the kind of quiet that made Obinna hear his own heartbeat. It beat fast and loud, as if it wanted to escape from his chest. The cold air wrapped around his skin like wet cloth, and his legs felt weak. Nena was still on the floor with her tail curled beside her, staring at the empty corner where the Marine sisters had disappeared. Her hands shook in her lap, and her lips moved slightly like she was praying without sound. Obinna swallowed hard and finally spoke. "Nena," he whispered, "what do we do now?" She turned her head slowly to look at him. Her eyes were red, filled with tears that had not yet fallen. "I do not know," she said in a quiet voice, "but the hour has started." Obinna looked at the wall clock. The small clock ticked softly, each sound like a hammer hitting the inside of his head. He imagined the minute hand moving, closing the space between now and the time the Marine sisters would come back. He stood up and started pacing the room, his bare feet cold against the tiled floor. "This cannot be happening. This is our wedding night. We are supposed to be happy. We are supposed to be planning our life. How did it turn into this?" Nena watched him with sad eyes. "I am sorry." He turned sharply to her. "Stop saying sorry and tell me what we can do. There must be something. There must be a way out." She looked down again. "There is no easy way out of the Marine Kingdom." Obinna stopped pacing and faced her. "Then tell me everything. Maybe if I know everything, my mind will think of something. Right now I feel like I am in the dark and something is chasing me." Nena took a deep breath, as if she was trying to gather courage. "Sit down," she said softly. "I cannot sit," Obinna replied. "I feel like if I sit, I will not stand up again." "Please," she said, her voice shaking. "I want to look at you while I talk." Something about the way she said it made him stop moving. Slowly, he went to the bed and sat on the edge again, his hands pressed together between his knees. He didn't go near her, but he was close enough to see her face clearly. "Talk," he said. "I am listening." Nena lifted her head and stared at him. For a moment, she did not look like a strange being with a tail. She looked like a scared girl trying to explain a nightmare that had become her whole life. "When I was 7 years old," she began, "I went to the river with other children. It was just a normal day. The sun was out. The water looked calm. We were playing by the shore." Obinna watched her closely, his breath slow and careful. "I slipped," she continued. "My leg missed the ground. I fell inside the river. I waited for someone to pull me out, but no one did. The water pulled me down instead. It was not like normal drowning. It felt like hands dragging me." She closed her eyes like she was seeing it again. "I tried to scream, but water filled my mouth. I thought I was going to die." Obinna leaned forward slightly without realizing it. "But you didn't." "No," she said. "I woke up somewhere else. The water was gone, but it was still all around. I was in a palace under the river. The walls were clear, like glass, but water moved outside them. The floor shone like the inside of a shell. I saw people who were not people. Women with beautiful faces and long hair, but their lower bodies were not legs. They were like mine." She glanced down at her tail. Obinna swallowed. "So they kept you there?" "Yes. They took me in. They gave me food. They taught me their ways. At first I didn't understand what was going on. I thought it was a dream. But days passed. Then months. Then years. Time is different there. You lose count." "But your family," Obinna said, confused. "What about them? Did they not look for you?" "They did," she said. "Some say I died in the river. Some say a spirit took me. They never found my body. Because I did not die, I was given to the water." Her voice shook at those last words. Obinna looked at her quietly. "Given by who?" She looked away. Some things I still do not know. But I know this. A sacrifice was made. A promise was kept. And I became part of their kingdom. He shivered. What did they teach you? They taught me to obey, she said. They taught me how to shift between human form and marine form. They taught me how to move between their world and ours. They taught me about light. She paused and looked at him again. Human destinies shine like light there. Some are weak. Some are strong. Some burn like fire. Those are the ones they want. And mine, Obinna said slowly, burns like fire. She nodded sadly. Yes. He swallowed and looked at the floor. So how did they choose me? One day, Nena said, the Queen of the Marine Kingdom called us. She said a new assignment had come. A man whose destiny was strong. A man who would rise in the world and influence many. She said his light would be enough to feed the throne for years. Obinna's hands clenched. And that man was me. Yes. He let out a bitter laugh. So my whole life I have been working hard, trying to live right, praying, planning my future, not knowing that someone under a river was watching me like a target. Nena's eyes filled with tears again. It is not your fault. It is not yours either, Obinna said quietly, then frowned, as if surprised at his own words. She blinked. You do not hate me. I am angry, he said honestly. I am scared. I feel betrayed. But I also see you crying and fighting them, and I do not know how to put you in one box. Nothing is simple tonight. Silence filled the room for a few seconds, except for the ticking clock and the faint echo of dripping water that never stopped. How did I enter the plan? Obinna asked after a while. How did you enter my life? I was brought to the human world again, Nena said. In a normal body. I was told where to go. They led me to the bank where you used to visit. The first day I stood at the queue behind you. They whispered in my ear, that is him. Start today. Obinna remembered that day clearly now. You were the quiet girl behind me who dropped her bag. Yes, she said. I dropped it on purpose. When you bent to pick it up for me and smiled, something changed in me. He frowned. What changed? I felt seen, she said. Not like a tool. Not like a servant. Not like a weapon. I felt like a person. You said, be careful, you almost lost your things. And you smiled like you cared even though you did not know me. Obinna stared at her quietly, his heart heavy. I continued the assignment, she said. We talked. We became friends. We got closer. Everything was moving like they wanted. But the more time I spent with you, the more the assignment felt like a knife in my own heart. They kept reminding me, remember why you are there. But a part of me did not want that reason anymore. So when I proposed to you, Obinna said slowly, what did you feel? She smiled sadly. Fear, and joy, and pain all at once. I was happy because you chose me. I was afraid because I knew why they pushed us together. And I was in pain because I knew how this night was supposed to end. Obinna's voice dropped. You were supposed to finish me. Yes. He looked at the clock again. The minute hand had moved. Time was passing. How would it happen? He asked, his voice almost a whisper. How would my destiny be taken? Nena looked embarrassed and sad at the same time. On the wedding night, during our first time together, once our bodies joined, your destiny would move from you to the Marine Kingdom. You would still be alive, but you would no longer be who you were meant to be. Everything inside you that made you special would belong to them. Obinna felt like crying but held himself back. And you would be free. She nodded slowly. They promised me freedom. They said, complete this one mission, and you will have your life. You will no longer belong to us. You can live like a normal woman. And you believed them. I wanted to, she said. I wanted a normal life more than anything. I wanted to wake up and not hear water calling my name. I wanted to sleep without seeing the Queen in my dreams. I wanted to be free. And yet, Obinna said, you are here telling me the truth instead of doing what they said. I could not hurt you, she replied. Somewhere along the way, The mission became a burden I could not carry. Every time I pictured you empty, walking around without your destiny, something inside my chest broke. I started wishing there was another way. But the Marine Kingdom is not a place that gives second choices. Obinna stared at her. In that moment, he saw her not just as something strange with a tail, but as someone trapped between two worlds, pulled in two directions, unable to fully belong to either. "What happens if you refuse completely?" he asked quietly. She hesitated. "Nena, answer me. What happens if you decide you will never take my destiny? What if you stand your ground and say no to them?" Her lips trembled. She looked at the floor, then at him, then away again. "I need to know," Obinna insisted. "We cannot plan anything if we do not face the full truth." She finally whispered, "If I refuse, they will kill me." The words hit Obinna like a blow. "Kill you?" he repeated. "Yes," she said. "They do not forgive failure. They do not forgive rebellion." He swallowed. "You said something else before. You said they would take me too. Was that true, or were you just talking out of fear?" "It was true," she replied. "If I refuse to do it myself, they will come and do it by force." Obinna's voice grew tighter. "So I die?" She shook her head. "Maybe not your body, but your destiny will still be taken. They do not waste light. They do not like to lose." He stared at her, breathing slowly, the weight of her words sinking into him like cold water. "So even if you refuse," he said softly, "I still lose." Nena's eyes filled with tears again. "Yes." He looked at the clock one more time and saw the minute hand move again, small but sharp. "How much time do we have left?" he asked. "I do not know exactly," she said. "But not much." When they said 1 hour, they meant it. Obinna let out a long, shaky breath. "So let me say it again so I understand. If you obey them, you take my destiny, I become empty, and you become free. If you disobey them, they kill you, and still come for me." Nena's voice dropped to a whisper. "They will kill us both," she said. "And your destiny will still be taken." The words hung in the cold air like smoke. "They will kill us both," Nena said quietly. "And your destiny will still be taken." Obinna felt something inside him sink, like a stone dropped into deep water. For a few seconds he did not speak. He just sat there, staring at the floor, hearing the soft ticking of the clock and the endless drip 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 that did not match anything in the room. "So no matter what we choose," he said at last in a low voice, "we lose." Nena's eyes were wet. "That is why I did not want you to know. I did not want you to carry this fear with me." He looked up at her sharply. "So you wanted to suffer alone? You wanted to choose my fate for me? You wanted to decide if I live with destiny or without it?" "I wanted to protect you," she said. "By hiding the truth?" he asked, pain in his tone. She looked away. "I did not know what else to do." Silence filled the room again, thick and heavy. Obinna stood up and walked to the small window. He pulled the curtain aside. Outside, the night was quiet. The compound was dark, with only one dim security light shining near the gate. The world outside looked normal, calm, simple, like nothing strange was happening anywhere. But inside this room, his whole life was breaking. He let the curtain fall and turned back to her. "What if we fight them?" Nena's head jerked up. "Fight them?" "Yes," Obinna said. "You said they are strong, I know. You said they are many, I know. But what if we do not just sit here and wait for them to come and decide everything? What if we fight back?" Nena stared at him with a mixture of surprise and fear. "You do not understand what you are saying." "Then explain it," he replied. "Explain why we cannot fight." "The Marine Sisters are not like anything you know," she said. "They are old. Older than your village. Older than your country. They are spirits. They move with water and darkness. They can break walls without touching them. They can stop hearts without lifting a hand. You are just a man, Obinna." His jaw tightened. "And you? What are you?" "I am tied to them," she said sadly. "I have their power. but I am also under their control. If I fight them, I will suffer. They will make me pay. They might wipe me out. They might lock me in a place worse than death." He took a deep breath. "So if we do nothing, we lose. If we fight, we might still lose. But at least if we fight, we try." Nena looked at him, really looked at him, like she was seeing another side of him for the first time. "You are brave," she whispered. He gave a short, bitter smile. "No, I am just desperate." She gave a small sad smile too. Sometimes desperation feels like courage. He walked closer, carefully, still keeping a little distance from her tail but not as far as before. "Tell me something," he said. "If you use everything inside you, if you stop holding back and really fight them, can you hurt them?" She hesitated. "Maybe a little, but not enough." "Enough for what?" he asked. "Enough to stop them forever," she said. "They will keep coming. That is what they do." "But maybe you can slow them down," he said. "Maybe you can keep them away long enough for us to think, to move, to do something." Her voice dropped. "They will not like that." Obina took another breath. "They already do not like you." She looked at him, and a small light flashed in her eyes. "You are not afraid of me anymore." He paused, then spoke slowly. "I am still afraid. But right now, I am more afraid of them." Nena's lips trembled, but this time it was not just from sadness. It looked a little like hope trying to grow. Before she could reply, the air in the room changed again. This time, it happened faster. The cold became sharper, like blades of ice touching their skin. The shadows in the corners of the ceiling started to stretch, pulling downward like dark liquid. The dripping sound stopped suddenly, and the silence that followed was worse. Obina's heart started to race. "They are coming," Nena whispered. The light bulb flickered hard, then steadied, then flickered again. The bed under Obina shook gently, as if something heavy was moving inside the floor. He looked at the clock. Less than an hour had passed. "They came early," he said, voice dry. "They are angry," Nena replied. "They know we are still talking. They know the mission is not done." Obina swallowed. "What do we do?" Nena straightened her back slowly. Her face changed. The fear was still there, but something stronger covered it. A quiet decision. "Move away from the center of the room," she said. "Stand near the bed. When they appear, do not talk to them. Do not answer any question. Do not look into their eyes for too long. Spirit eyes pull people in. Focus on me. Only me." Obina obeyed. He moved to the side of the bed, his hand resting on the bed frame because his legs felt weak. "And you?" he asked. "What will you do?" Nena took a deep breath. Her tail uncurled, stretched across the floor, and the faint marine crown appeared behind her head again, brighter than before. "I will do what I should have done long ago," she said quietly. "What is that?" he asked. "Fight for myself," she replied. "And for you." Before Obina could answer, the shadows in the corner exploded outward like black water splashing. The three marine sisters appeared again. This time there was no slow entrance, no gentle forming of faces. They burst into the room with sharp, bright light around them. Their eyes glowed with anger. Their hair moved wildly like they were in a storm. The first sister pointed at Nena. "Your time is up." The second sister glared. "You have played with the throne's patience." The third sister's voice shook the air. "You were given one simple task. And you stand here, still human, still untouched, still wasting our power." Nena did not bow her head this time. She lifted her chin and looked at them directly. "I will not do it," she said. The room seemed to stop breathing. The first sister's eyes burned brighter. "Repeat that." "I will not do it," Nena said again, louder this time. "I will not take his destiny." Obina's heart beat fast, but a strange pride rose in him as he watched her. She looked small beside them, but she did not look weak. The second sister hissed. "You dare to rebel in front of us?" "Yes," Nena said. The third sister's face twisted with rage. "You forget who made you, who trained you. Who gave you power? Nena shook her head. You did not make me. You captured me. You turned a child into a weapon. You gave me power, yes, but you never gave me peace. The sisters moved closer, the walls vibrating with every step. The first sister raised her hand. You have spoken your last free words. Blue light gathered in her palm like a small storm. Obina shouted, Nena. Nena turned her head slightly. Stay back, she said. No matter what happens, do not run to them. The first sister threw the light at Nena. It hit her chest. The sound was like thunder trapped in a bottle. Nena's body flew backward and hit the wall. For a second, Obina thought she would fall to the floor, but she caught herself, breathing hard. Her eyes flashed, and a sudden wave of water rose from the ground around her, swirling like a shield. The water was not real water from a tap or rain. It was glowing, deep, heavy water from another world. The second sister threw another blast of blue light. It hit the water shield and spread like lightning across the surface, shaking the room. Obina gripped the bed frame tightly so he wouldn't fall. Nena, stop. They will kill you. I am already dead if I obey them, she shouted back. This is better. The third sister raised both hands, and invisible force pushed forward, slamming into Nena's shield and breaking part of it. The water splashed against the walls, leaving glowing marks that faded slowly. You are nothing compared to us, the first sister said. You are a low servant. Maybe, Nena said, panting, but tonight, I am a servant who is tired. She pushed her hands forward, and the water around her turned into sharp streams that shot toward the sisters. They hissed as the water hit them. Their bodies shook, and for a moment, their forms flickered like candle flames in the wind. Obina stared with wide eyes. You can hurt them, he whispered. But the sisters recovered fast. The second sister screamed, a long, deep sound that made Obina's ears ring. Ungrateful child. She waved her arm, and a wave of dark water rose behind her, taller than the ceiling. It crashed toward Nena like a flood. The impact threw Nena across the room. She hit the floor hard and slid, her tail twisted under her. She let out a cry of pain. Obina could not stay still anymore. Nena. He ran a few steps toward her, but the third sister turned to him and flicked her fingers. Invisible force pushed him backward, slamming him into the side of the wardrobe. His back burned with pain. Do not move, she said. This does not concern your strength. It concerns your destiny. Nena struggled to get up, breathing heavily. Her gown was torn at one side, and her hair stuck to her face. But her eyes were still bright. The first sister moved closer to her. You are weak, Nena. You have always been weak. That is why we chose you. Because we thought you would obey and not think. I am weak, Nena said, pushing herself upright. But I am done obeying. She lifted her arms again. Water rose once more. The room shook harder. The bed moved a little. The clock on the wall tilted. The bulb above swung slowly. Obina tried to stand, but the invisible force still pressed him down. The sisters and Nena pushed against each other. Power against power, water against light. The room became a storm of glowing blue and shifting shadows. Obina felt like he was inside a river and an earthquake at the same time. Stop this, he shouted. You are going to tear the house down. No one answered him. The second sister moved her hands in a circle, and chains of dark water formed in the air. They flew toward Nena, wrapping around her arms, pinning them to her sides. Nena gasped. No! The chains tightened. Her water shield fell. The third sister stepped forward, her eyes cold. It is over. They raised their hands together. Blue light gathered again, but this time it was different. It was stronger, darker, heavier. It felt like the whole room was being pulled into that light. Obina's heart dropped. What are you doing? The first sister answered without looking at him. If she will not obey, she will not remain. The second sister added, we will pull her out. Out of what? Obina asked, terrified. Out of this body, the third sister said. Her spirit will return where it belongs. The shell she borrowed here will fall. Obinna looked at Nena. She had stopped struggling. The chains held her tightly. Her eyes were wide but calm, like someone who knew the end had come. "No," Obinna whispered. "No. You cannot do this. You cannot just tear her out." The sisters ignored him. They pushed their hands forward, and the blue light shot toward Nena, surrounding her like a cage. Her body shook. Obinna watched in horror as something strange began to happen. A soft glow appeared around Nena's chest. The glow lifted slowly, like steam rising. It grew brighter and brighter until it formed a faint shape. A second Nena, made of light, slowly pulling away from her body. Nena screamed, not in fear alone, but in deep pain. "Obinna!" Her voice echoed from both her mouth and the glowing form. Obinna's whole being reacted. He no longer thought of their power or his weakness. All he saw was Nena being torn apart. Without thinking, he broke forward. The invisible force that had held him tried to push him back, but something inside him pushed harder. His legs moved. His body fought the pressure. Step by step, shaking, he forced himself across the floor. The sisters were focused on their work. Their eyes were fixed on the glowing spirit, their hands steady, their mouths singing words that did not sound like any human language. Nena's light form rose higher, pulling away from her body, which was slowly going limp. "Obinna," she cried again, her voice weaker. "Please." He reached her. He did not know what else to do, so he did the only thing his heart told him. He grabbed her, one hand on her arm, one hand around her shoulders, holding both the faint glowing form and the body pressed together. The moment his hands touched her, the room exploded with sound. The sisters screamed. Their bright eyes flashed with shock and pain as if something burned them. The light they were holding broke, shaking in all directions. The chains of dark water around Nena's arms snapped and vanished. The glowing second Nena wavered, then sank back slowly into her body. Obinna held on tighter, refusing to let go, even though his hands felt hot and cold at the same time. The sisters stumbled backward, clutching their chests, their forms flickering like they were about to disappear. "What did he do?" the first sister gasped. "The human touched her," the second sister said, eyes wide. "He should not be able to touch us." The third sister stared at Obinna with something new in her face. "Fee, what is he?" she whispered. Obinna did not answer. He just held Nena, breathing hard, his heart pounding, unaware that in that moment, his touch had changed the battle.